We are going to do some operations with rational numbers. Remember, rational numbers are things that you can write as a fraction, so a decimal that has no that ends eventually or has a repeating decimal, or a fraction would all be considered rational numbers. And we have to deal with negatives. So this question asks, evaluate without a calculator. So what can we do to evaluate this without a calculator? Negative 3.4 minus negative 2.6. First thing, let's deal with this double negative. A negative and a negative makes a positive. This is still pretty tricky. It's a little bit difficult to do because of the tenths and because we have a negative. So there's a few ways you could do this. You could use a number line. If you do a great number line and you have lots of details on it, then you can use it to get an exact solution. So let's figure out these numbers. 0, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4. So we're going to start with negative 3.4. That's going to be almost halfway between negative 3 and negative 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we have 10 tick marks here. Negative 3.1, negative 3.2, negative 3.3, negative 3.4. So right here is where we're going to start. Now if we want to subtract we want to add, actually not subtract, we want to add 2.6. Let's do it in steps. Let's add the 2, and then let's add the 0.6. Make our lives a little bit easier. So first we're going to add the 2. We're going to add 1. Whenever we add, we're moving to the right on a number line, and this will get us to negative 2.4 because we started at negative 3.4. And we're going to add one more whole number, and that'll get us to negative 1.4. Okay, so we did this step. And we're kind of running out of space here, so let's just slide this down. Great. So what can we do from here? We still need to add 0.6. You could do this in your head. Sometimes I find it's easier to use a number line, or it's easier to do it in my head. So if you want to use a number line, you could work out all the little tick marks. Negative 1.4, negative 1.3, negative 1.2, negative 1.1, and here we have 0.9, 0.8, 0.7. These are all negative numbers still. Negative 0.6, negative 0.5, 0.4, 0.3, 0.2, 0.1. We squeezed it all in there. Okay, so we could continue to count down the tick marks like we did previously. And we have to go down 6/10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this should be negative 0.8. Are there any other ways that we could solve this problem? Absolutely. You could use a calculator, except this problem said without a calculator. You could try writing it a different way, working it out a different way. So we split this up into a whole number and the other section. You could also do that with all of the tenths. Separate all the tenths out, separate all the whole numbers out, work on them separately. Okay? And in any of these questions, if it says evaluate without a calculator, you're expected to show your work, show your steps, but at the very end, you can check your work with the calculator. That's fine. So the next question is working with fractions and negative fractions. And these fractions are mixed numbers. So the first thing that we need to do is change our mixed numbers into improper fractions. -4 and a third, we want to change that into a mixed, from a mixed into an improper. We do 3 times 4 plus 1. 3 times 4 is 12 plus 1 is 13 over 3. And next we do 5 times 1 plus 2. So it's going to be a negative. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 2 is 7, -7 over 5. Let's deal with the negatives first. If we have a negative times a negative, or a negative divided by a negative, it'll give us a positive. So we can rewrite everything with positives because those two negatives are canceling out. And remember the steps for dividing by a fraction. You need to change it to multiplication and flip. Next we multiply the numerators. So we have 13 times 5, 75 over 3 times 7, which is 21. Okay, can this be reduced? So what are the factors of 75? There's quite a few. 1 goes into 75. Does 2 go into 75? No, I don't think so. It's not an even number. How could it? No, 3? Does 3 go into 75? Yes, it does. On the other end we have 25. 3 times 25 is 75. Oh, look. We could keep going here, but I do know that 21 has a factor of 3. So there's a 3 that we can take out of the numerator and the denominator, leaving 25 over 7. 7 is a prime number, and 7 does not go into 25, so this is reduced.